Hello, you're listening to The Old New Adventures of Superman, podcast where we review episode by episode TV series Lois&Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. My name is Jason, and each week I'm joined by my wife Rochelle.
Hello guys.
And we review an episode of Lois&Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. And this time we are looking at episode 6, titled I've Got a Crush on You. Was directed by Gene Reynolds and written by Tanya St. John. Would have first aired on October 24th, 1993. Now, to start us off, each time we like to read the episode synopsis from Wikipedia, and I always struggle through with some of the strange use of spelling or grammar or sentence structure, and I tried reading it before, so it's no exception this time. But here we go. A group of arsonists set local nightclubs on fire, and Lois decides to go undercover at a club to investigate what is going on. Clark follows her steps and gets a job at the club as a bartender, also undercover. Johnny Taylor is the owner of the club, but his sister Tony disagrees with the way he runs the organization, and takes over after the club is attacked by the arsonists. Lex Luthor visits the club to meet with Tony and sees Lois singing on stage. Tony finds Lois and Clark hiding in the storage, and Clark, to save at least his undercover, outs Lois. Lois loses her job at the club, but she follows Tony and finds out that she is the one who is behind the arsonists. She asks them to stop now that she is running the club, but the arsonists capture her and they keep their job. Superman manages to stop them while it is revealed that Lex also benefits from the arsonists, as he was able to buy the land he wanted to build the Lex Harbor at a low price. So there we have the episode synopsis, and we'll try and go into a little bit more detail, as once again a few maybe key elements or most interesting parts of the episode were left out there. So this one starts off as maybe is hinted at through the amount of times they wrote arsonist in the synopsis, with a fire. Mm-hmm. And who is there to save the day?
Superman.
And that's good, because as the reporter tells us, the entranceways are blocked and all the stairs are on fire, so no one can get up. And so really, without Superman,
no one would be able to. But he only saved one person. Was there one person left? Everyone has evacuated the building, and just one person's left at the very top floor.
Yeah, I hope so, because afterwards he did stop for an interview, so if there were other people still inside, I wouldn't have been very smart on his part.
But I thought it was really good, because the way the reporter asked him the question, and he said, I'm sure that the authorities are doing their job very well. So he's always such a good guy, isn't he?
He is the big blue Boy Scout, I say. And actually he really does embody it in this
he does.
In this show. He is that very kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say cookies and cream, but that's not what I mean. You know what I mean? That sort of very raised in Kansas, sort of good salt of the earth, looking always at the best in people, but it's good. It's a nice take on Superman. He's supposed to be the lightness.
Oh yeah, of course.
To the dark, isn't he? So that's
he's
why,
supposed to be the light, the day, and Batman's the night.
First
it's
Batman
the dark
reference
night, and he's the
light of day, powered by the sun.
Exactly, you see.
Very good. We then jump quite abruptly from this building on fire to a club. I want to say a nightclub. It's not really a nightclub, but it's just sort of a club where
there's a live singing.
Yeah,
and dancing,
singing and dancing
and tapping. There's the one tapping,
but very, very tame, very modest.
Yeah,
very cheesy,
Broadway, isn't
very
it?
Broadway.
Yeah, in a small way.
And we basically understand that this is this home of the Metro Gang, and they're a kind of mafia Italian gang. Yeah, Johnny, Tony, Louis. These are some of the names thrown about. So definitely sort of the Italian influence there.
The way they spoke as well seemed like they had like an Italian twang.
Yeah, and so we see that they're the one woman who later we find out to be Tony, she's sort of saying to Johnny, but look, these ones have been set on fire again, and they pay us protection money, and they're not really happy because, which is, I suppose, understandable, justifiable. If I'm paying, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then we see that he's not so happy with the dancer. He needs to find a replacement.
He was just hat-headed, wasn't he? Johnny.
What, in general?
In general, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But who should he call in to replace this dancer that was not very talented?
Oh, yes, Lois.
Lois Lane, undercover.
Yeah.
And
again,
yeah. But it didn't
on
sing.
his own. On her own, sorry.
Didn't sing, didn't dance.
She just stood there on the corner.
Impressive enough to get his attention and for him to send away all the other girls.
Yeah.
Because he found
said,
his
"You
star.
with long legs, come over here." And she just stood there.
So she gets a job at the club. She's undercover, and we jump back to the Daily Planet. And I think some of the interactions in the Daily Planet are some of the best parts of the show in general. Now that I think about it, looking back now, we're going back over 6 episodes. Whenever they're kind of there, the paper,
little
and
jokes
the different,
that they give to each
little
other,
thing, but not just between
Teasing
Lois and
stuff,
Clark, but Jimmy's there, Perry's
Yeah.
there. We'll get to Perry in a minute. But basically, it starts with them drinking some cold coffee.
Yeah.
And Clark isn't happy with Lois going undercover because it's too dangerous.
Yes, rightly so.
Rightly so. We have, mentioned a couple of times Lois
At least this
clearly
time
has a death wish.
At least this time she didn't need saving by Superman. She wasn't. She wasn't saved.
Didn't. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, not yet. Who knows what might have happened? I mean, the thing is that she was a reporter before he came. So you've got to wonder, what did she do up until this point?
She must have done like this episode, just hid in the corner and until all the bad guys went away.
Yeah, that's what most reporters do, isn't it? Hide in the corner. So we get to see Superman using one of his powers, or I should say Clark using one of his powers. Power that we didn't know he had. That was the reheat coffee power.
Heat vision.
And do you know what? I remember...
That heat vision? Is that how you call it?
Yeah.
Or fiery eyes? I don't know.
If you're listening, please tweet in whether it's heat vision or fiery eyes.
I think I like fiery eyes better.
Yeah. This is, again, one of those scenes. So, you're coming at it for the first time, and I'm trying to remember 20 years ago.
I don't think you remember this. Do you remember this episode?
I literally remember that scene of him heating the coffee.
Oh, yeah. Yes, yeah.
And as soon as she poured the coffee and was like, "Oh, it's cold," I was thinking to myself, well, "This is when he heats the coffee up with his eye." Because I remember seeing that before I drank coffee. Because I was so young, I didn't used to drink coffee. And I remember not knowing what it was, but not understanding what he'd done
to the coffee,
with his eyes, thinking, "What's he doing with his eyes on his drink?"
Yeah. And now you wish you had that.
Now I wish I
had that power. Yeah. Every time I make a coffee, it's like the time I drink it, it's cold.
Yeah.
Pop it in the microwave.
Oh no! I'd make myself a fresh pot.
Oh,
very wasteful.
Yeah, he is quite wasteful with coffee. I don't waste.
And so we said Clark's not happy. Who's got her back? It's Perry White. He's saying, he will support his reporters no matter what. And he says, "Clark, if you went to that window and said you could fly, I'd support you. I'd miss you, but I'd support you." I think he's brilliant now. I don't think I was ever not on Perry's side. I was a little bit worried with the Elvis fixation.
Yeah. No reference
but
this time.
He is so funny. And even later he says something else. I may have made a note. I can't remember. But he says something else later, and I just thought, this guy, he's comedy gold in this series.
You mean the writers?
No, I mean
him,
Perry
the actor,
White.
or the character.
The real Perry White. What are you trying to say?
Oh.
Isn't it real?
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
Don't destroy this for me. So Perry's, backing her up, and then we have to jump once again to meet our, let's say, final part of the puzzle that is Lex Luthor. So we jump to
No.
Yes.
No. First, Lois goes dressed as a waitress. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're showing all the city his plan. Okay. Sorry.
I've taken notes.
Okay.
I've done it so that I know what's happened next.
All right. You wrote your own Wikipedia.
Yeah,
I keep telling you should write your own and just read it side by side. Anyway, carry on.
Well, I was just going to say that we meet the final part of the puzzle. That's Lex Luthor, who we understand has this plan to buy up the land around the harbour to build, as was mentioned in the synopsis, Lex Harbour. And again, a few jabs at Superman because he's sort of saying, well, this way we can eliminate the crime. Because even Superman's failed to save the harbour, and even Superman couldn't stop all of these fires, and even Superman and Clark's like literally standing there, and he even asked him some question about, well, maybe you bought some of this land because people were pressured, and what do you say to these kind of allegations? And Lex just sort of brushes it off, and I can't remember what he says, but doesn't really care. Then we jump to
Lois in the club, dressed as a waitress, and trying to get into the meeting room with the drinks and stuff. So listening.
Yeah, and she does, and that's where we finally kind of understand the relationship between this woman that we'd met and Johnny, the boss.
So they're siblings.
So we understand that the father is
the original owner.
Yeah, has passed away.
Yeah,
and she feels that Johnny's doing a very bad job. She's gone to kind of like a business school, done business studies. So she
wants to make it all legit, doesn't she?
Yeah, he's very old school mafia. She wants to be a legitimate businesswoman. Yeah. And I mean, she raises good points. She says that they've got this organization already established. They just need to redirect it.
Yes. Which is, good plan, isn't it?
I would say in the world we live in, it's a good plan. In a world where Superman lives, it's probably a really good plan to be like, maybe organized crime, not the best job, in a city where we have Superman.
Yeah.
Perhaps we should do legitimate business. But hey, that's just me. I didn't go to business school, so what do I know?
But the brother didn't like her plan.
No, as he said, he's old school mafia. He wants just... in fact, he didn't like her plan so much, he decided to shoot a gun into a wall where she was standing.
But she wasn't scared. She knew he wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Well, those bullet holes very convenient, as we'll see later.
Yeah.
Of course, so Lois is there undercover. We also got to see her do her wonderful chicken dance. She sort of go up on stage dressed as a...
No, before that, they went back to the Daily Planet.
What, is that when the chicken dance?
Yeah.
No, that was before, when Perry was there supporting her and all of that. Because that was the same time that she was sort of saying, well, I've got my... Because when she was sort of trying to counter Clark's arguments, she was going, well, I've got my integrity as a journalist and my pride and my... And then Jimmy sort of says, "Oh, this arrived for you," and there's all the feathers.
Okay, so before she went up on the stage, Clark came in, didn't he?
Clark came in, also undercover, and so when he goes between being Clark Kent and Superman, he removes his glasses and sort of swishes back his hair a little bit.
This time. He has a different glasses. Did you notice that? Did you pick on that?
Not until he changed them later.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I did notice the goatee.
Oh, yes, yeah. And the beanie. What's up with the beanie hat?
Beanie hat, goatee.
I think
he kind
it's
of
more
looked
to
like a sailor, didn't he? That was sort of the look he was going for, like, I've just come in off the docks kind of thing. And
no one knows me, I'm new.
Yeah,
I thought he was going for like a gangster look, but I suppose the gangsters don't look like that now.
Well, I mean, I suppose he's just looking like he's a man who's capable, can take care of himself, has worked, kind of manual labor, hard jobs. He could be someone you might hire for a bit of muscle.
Yeah.
For example, he's trying to get a job there, kind of getting turned away until the arsonists that are called, I can't remember, do you remember what they're called? The little
Toasters.
The toasters. How did I forget that? The toasters arrive.
Yes, they toast everything on fire.
Yeah, and can make you a toasted sandwich if you're really desperate. So the toasters arrive and light the place up.
Yeah.
Clark saves Tony.
Yes, Lois
I was
did
going to say the new
chicken
boss.
dance
She's not
before
the
that.
boss yet. Lois has done her chicken dance, which was... I get like why they do that to kind of show her like, oh, look, Lois is having to do this.
So that we'll be impressed.
But I'm also
After all.
wondering what kind of seedy club, mafia kind of underworld club has basically a barnyard dance. Because she was a chicken, but there were like,
yeah.
like one looked like it was just kind of like a cow, and one was like,
that's true.
What's going on?
I think it's more to do so that it feels like light-hearted, you know.
Definitely
something like
light-hearted. So we see that that Clark intervenes. He saves her. Oh, this was actually when I was thinking before that happened. When he came in with the beanie and the beard, I was thinking he has taken a page out of Batman's book. This is very Matches Malone.
Oh yeah.
That is the kind of.
There you go, another Batman reference.
Well, I've got to throw one in for Jennifer. She
Yeah,
gets
you're
upset
welcome,
if I
Jen.
don't. And so, very kind of that's his sort of persona that he puts on when he ever kind of has to infiltrate the underworld.
Who's that?
Matches Malone. That's Batman's go-to.
Oh, it's Batman.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But this time it wasn't that. I think he called himself King, Charlie King.
Charlie King, yes.
Yeah. So that's
Charles for short.
So basically, because of this event, Tony manages to take over the Metro. What are they called? Sorry, the Metro Gang.
Metro Club.
The Metro Club was the place, but the gang, the organised crime, was called the Metro Gang. So they live in Metropolis.
Of course, it's
They're
Metro.
called the Metro Gang. A lot of creativity went into the name. She takes over. They send Johnny away.
No, actually, he got captured, didn't he? By the toasters. Yes. I know. No.
She sends him away
Yeah.
because while this is happening, Lois is in the storeroom
Listening in.
because conveniently the 3 bullets that he fired earlier
Yeah.
went through the wall. So she has a very good sort of
Hearing.
little spy hole to look through. And
This was before Lex, though.
this is all before, but then she runs back to the planet. She stops them writing the story about the toasters trying to burn down the club, to write a story that Tony has now taken over control of Metro Gang.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still undercover.
Yeah.
And surprise, surprise, as soon as they read the front page of the news,
Then they were looking for
they're looking for somebody who's infiltrated the club.
Yeah.
Maybe wait. Maybe get all your story together.
Yes.
Get ready. Maybe leave your job and then report. It seems strange that you would
So now they would be looking for like who was it?
exactly. Yeah.
Leaked that information.
I mean, once again, I'm not a reporter. I don't know, but to me,
I think she was just so eager to get that story in.
she's always fighting Clark for the byline, isn't she? She wants to put
Yeah.
he had a nice story about the club being burnt down, and she has to kind of get in there and.
But I think
steal his
this
story.
episode we saw really a different side of Clark Kent, didn't we? He
Yes.
was so like smooth and really.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely get to that in a second because we see. I think Perry also comes out with a few jokes here when they're back at the thing, but I can't remember.
Oh, do you remember when Lois saw Clark behind the bar?
Remember what it is that she came back to the club.
Yeah.
And she didn't want Clark to tell him. No, sorry, she comes back to the planet and doesn't
Yeah.
and Clark like offers her a chicken wing. And then he's like saying, "Oh, you better not tell anyone any
Yeah.
of this." And then like Perry arrives later and he's got his own kind of
Joke.
few little jokes about chickens
Yeah.
and things like that because he also knows, obviously. She also comes back. She's still dressed as a waitress.
Yeah.
And it's like a very
It's like
kind
a
of
bodysuit, but without
yeah.
pants, without
yeah.
trousers.
It's all sort of a bit kind of the time, of the era, of the place.
Yeah.
Not very fitting for the work
No.
for the workplace.
She's showing a lot more skin this episode, isn't it? Time is advancing.
No cat.
Oh yeah, cat. No cat this time. Oh,
No wonder I couldn't remember that she was in this series. She's quite
She
a big
appeared
role in
like-
the first 4 episodes,
Yeah,
and then she
she
disappeared. But she's still in
She
the
moved. You know
intro.
where she moved? Star City.
Star City started
Yeah,
Catco.
Yes, exactly.
Took on a completely different
she's gonna
James
take-
Olsen.
And then she's gonna take Jamie out on.
Unbelievable.
We're gonna have like another spin off this.
So I'm trying to think what happened after that. So they back at the planet. She's going to go. You mentioned Clark being very smooth.
Yeah.
He goes back to the club because he has also been invited by Tony,
Yeah.
and we see one of the powers again that we didn't know he had,
Yes.
that of super flirting. So he
Yes.
he puts some smooth moves on her, and he gets a job bartending
Yes. Yes.
for now, with the promise of who knows what to come in the future.
It was because he saved her life, didn't he?
Yeah, he saved her life. That's why she kind of gave him a second shot.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Because he was about to be kicked out because of the way he was dressed, and said, "Oh, you should go because you're not dressed appropriately for this place."
Yeah. So then we jump to the evening,
Mm-hmm.
and we see Lois is working, Clark is working now at the bar. She sees him. She didn't know.
Yes,
He didn't tell her.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. He's
Yeah.
there. Then Tony comes over and sort of doesn't like that.
Why are you doing that? Yeah.
That they're sort of talking a little bit, and hey, don't get to know the help too well, kind of thing. And who should arrive at the club?
Wait, you forgot.
What?
He smacked her.
I don't think I forgot. I think I just breezed over that part. I know you.
I just thought it was really funny because Clark would never do that, would he?
He was very in character.
I know.
Clark wouldn't do that.
No.
Charlie King, on the other
yes.
hand. We talk about what dates episode, like an episode like this. I just think if they put it out today, a lot of people would be very, the way they treated women, and I can't believe they did
And
this.
also the ice dispenser, I thought. If you have a club like that, you don't have like a one box of ice.
We have a one box of ice.
I mean, surely they have like an ice dispenser that you can just click and just, that's
literally like a pack of like 12 ice cubes.
I know, yeah. And he froze it.
He used his breath to freeze it. Is it freeze breath or coldy mouth blow?
No, frosted breath, I would call it. Sounds like a mouthwash.
So he's there, she's there, and Lex is there.
Oh, yes.
Problem is, Lex knows what Clark looks like.
I know,
Lex
so he
knows
was trying,
what Lois
he was
looks
trying,
like.
He was trying to hide.
And he did a good job of kind of hiding down behind the bar. Lois, on the other hand,
Was that so subtle?
not so subtle, she's singing. So
Yeah.
she comes out and performs her musical number, which you were annoyed that they'd come for a conversation.
I know, they were supposed to talk business.
And instead of talking, he
And
just
yet-
watched the song,
Yeah.
which, so just hit the microphone, which I also understand that, if you are in a club where there's constantly singing, if you stop every time there's a song,
You're never gonna...
you're never going to get through your conversation.
No.
But he doesn't blow her cover. He just enjoys the song, gives her a rose.
Yeah.
How romantic.
I wondered if Lex thought that, this is a different side of Lois. Of what is her name? Lola, was that?
Lola Dane?
Lola
I think there's some
Dane.
ridiculous name like that.
Not very far from her real name.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, maybe, some maybe are very serious, but they need to express their other self. So there you go. That's,
Yeah. She might have thought, well, she's not even undercover. This is just a hobby.
yeah, that's why.
It's just how she lets off steam. She should have a podcast.
She should
That'd
have
be
a
easier.
podcast, yeah.
So he doesn't blow her cover.
No, he enjoyed the performance, didn't he?
However, her cover does get blown.
Oh, yes.
Because Tony finds Clark and Lois in the storeroom with the bullet holes.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of, what are you two doing in
Yeah.
the storeroom? And Clark just grabs her and goes, she's the spy, I found her. Sort of drags her out. She was not happy about that.
No, she was like, what?
And gets told to put her outside.
Yes.
She's angry with him saying, and he's like, well, I had to come up with something. He said, and you couldn't have thought that maybe we were just getting to know each other better kind of in the storeroom.
Yeah.
Which is, but again, Lois, it's kind of your own fault. You did write a story that clearly revealed there was
Yes,
someone inside.
yeah.
And he hadn't started working there at that time.
No.
So unlikely
It's not
that
her.
it would
It's
have
not
been
him.
him.
Yeah.
And you think like, so he has to throw her in one of the bins. And there's like
And
a
so-
selection of
Yes,
bins.
yeah.
So he X-ray visions them,
One was
or
just
uses his see-through beams to see what's inside the bin. One was like just some shredded paper. It was very nice.
Yeah.
And one was full of
Rotten
food,
food
I bet.
and stuff.
So which one does he pick?
Of course, the rotten food. They throw him with the rotten food.
So again, another side of Clark that we don't see very often.
that was really good. You know.
So we then jump back to the apartment. Well, there's
A lot of jumping here.
I need a map also to see how close everybody lives, because you'd think Metropolis is a big place,
Yeah.
but everybody gets to everybody else's place.
Well, but
very
you see,
quickly.
after that, Clark went into his apartment. He was in his apartment, and then Lois came into his apartment, but she didn't look like she came out of the bin. So maybe she had time to, freshen up a little.
But she kept the very elegant singing dress on.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So she arrives there, has it out with him. He sort of say, "Hey, I have to justify myself. I have to kind of, my cover's still fine. Yours was compromised, so it's better that one of us is still." Starts making some sports metaphors that she doesn't appreciate.
Yeah. And then someone knocked.
And someone knocks on the door. Again, X-ray vision comes to the rescue. He sees that it is Tony, and he sort of tells Lois, it's Tony.
Date.
I was expecting her. Hides her. Tony comes in, and again, I'm trying to think why she thanks him this time. For finding the spy.
Yes, yeah.
She's
Home cooked dinner.
Home lasagna.
Lasagna. Oh, no, I really want lasagna.
If she wasn't a villain, Tony, I really.
Lasagna with baguettes. Did you see baguettes in her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, to scoop the
We
sauce.
always have lasagna with baguettes.
Yeah, where in Italy or here?
Whenever we have lasagna, there's always bread there.
Oh yeah, of course. Italian always have bread and everything.
Yeah, maybe some garlic bread if you're lucky.
Oh yeah,
with your
garlic
lasagna.
bread. Yummy.
So she's offering to give him a home cooked meal, and he is very willing to accept. We see him really put the moves on her.
Oh yes,
instantly.
definitely.
He's doing it just to distract her so that Lois can escape, though,
Yeah.
right? He's getting no.
But Tony was really overtaken by him.
Yeah, well, he's got super seduction. It's another one of
yeah.
Superman's powers, apparently.
But he was flirty, but not too much. He was strong, but not,
Oh, really? Was that kiss consensual? We don't know. He just... Anyway, they have their little meeting. Lois leaves. She is insanely jealous.
Oh yes,
She
my goodness.
gets back to her, and
I
again,
was-
this is where I need the map to know where everyone is living, because she is very quickly back at her house. Comes in, grabs a liter of ice cream, just starts
Yeah.
chowing down. Realizes that she's jealous. Knock on the door. Lex is there.
Yeah.
Lex comes in,
Yeah, this is my problem. Everyone just
knows where everybody lives.
knows exactly. I mean, surely that's not very good, especially if you're a reporter and
Well-
you're investigating someone, and
Well, Lex would know, wouldn't he? He's a man with connections.
yeah,
Probably got the whole place bugged.
oh.
Cameras up. He's a creepy guy.
Yeah.
So he
got really taken by Lois then from the performance, Lex.
but he has been for a couple of episodes, hasn't he? He's
Because
quite...
he didn't go there because he was like she was a spy. I mean, maybe he was expecting her to do that because she's a reporter. But she really went there because he thought that is like another side of Lois that probably he could take advantage of.
Yeah, and he's saying that she called him that not Lois, obviously, saying that Tony called Lex to the club, wanting to speak to him. And basically, up to this point, I am convinced Lex is behind all of this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's clearly Lex.
It's
is
Lex,
doing it because he's buying up the property cheap,
Yeah.
so he's
'Cause he wants to
obviously the one
build his
behind this.
thing.
Then, again, I'm not sure how time works in Metropolis, because we jump back to Clark's apartment.
Yeah.
Tony's leaving.
No, they had a conversation.
Yeah, they had a conversation, and then Tony left.
Yeah, because it was more Tony was saying to Clark, that I want the business to be legitimate.
So that feeds in again to the I thought Lex was behind
Yes,
everything. She seems sincere, and he seems to be quite taken with her as well. Like kind of, you almost start to feel like, oh, he actually likes her. He really thinks, he wants to protect her because she's sort of a bit worried about
they're gonna have discussion this time that Lois is gonna be like, oh no, she's guilty, and Clark, no, she's good, and she's trying to do this.
Yeah, well, he said that he'd like help her with the toaster and he would protect her. So she says she's got to go, and she leaves. Lois is back there somehow,
they must be
and
neighbors.
she follows her. Goes into a condemned building. We meet the toasters. We discover that she actually gave them the weapons. She put the hit out on the club. Also, she would be able to take Johnny's place and be in power. So at this point, I start thinking I was very judgmental. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Lex. Maybe for once you weren't behind it. Maybe there are other evil people in the world. I was thinking, I understand now why he moans that Superman always blames him for everything. Maybe it wasn't his fault. It was her. Lois is there, so she overhears everything. Basically, the toasters...
she wasn't there.
No, she's there. She gets into the club. Not into the club, sorry, into the condemned building. She listens to Tony talking to the toasters.
Yeah, to the toaster, but not to Lex.
No, but I'm saying Lex isn't involved at this point. We understand that Tony's behind everything. Yeah. And then we see that the toasters are kind of, they go back on the deal. They do very Darth Vader Lando situation here for changing the deal. Yeah. No, we're going to keep the weapons. Yeah. No, we're not going to stop. We're going to get more people, and we're going to leave you tied up here. Like even that very kind of like the trope of like a James Bond villain who's kind of like, and I'm going to kill you very slowly without watching in this elaborate trap, and then hopefully you'll never escape. So they're like, we're going to go and burn down all of these other clubs and come back here last, and then burn this one down with you inside.
Yeah, like she's not going to try to escape.
Yeah, maybe just start with that one and work the other way. I don't know.
Yeah, but they did have one guy to guard her, so
again.
And she's a woman. Maybe they thought, you'll never be able to try to escape. Well, they haven't met Lois.
But what was the point? Just offer there, burn the rest of the buildings. Why wait till the end? It's not like they were her buildings.
Suspense.
I don't know. Anyway, doesn't work, does it? Because they go and basically it's very strange because actually their plan, again, they really have not counted on one quite important element. They live in a city with Superman.
They forgot Superman exists.
They start burning down one building. Superman arrives, freeze them.
Yeah, they're gonna have like hypothermia.
Yeah, probably. And then Lois has also met up with Clark just before this and told her about Tony.
Yeah.
So while Superman is doing this and Lois is heading back to heading to the police station to kind of fill them in, we do see Lex arrive at the abandoned building, find Tony, and basically say... He
didn't release her, did he?
Well, no, he basically said, look, you're going to take the blame for all of this. And we find out that Lex, of course, was behind it. Yeah. He was involved.
Who do you think insinuated it? I mean, who do you think started it? Was it Tony or Lex?
It would have been Lex.
I think it was Tony.
No, I think Lex will have done it in a way that Tony thought it was her idea.
Oh.
He would have been like, if you were in charge of this, it would be so much better. You're so much smarter than your brother. Your brother.
And then Tony took advantage.
The gangs will never follow you. I mean, unless they saw that your brother couldn't control the underworld because, unless maybe a hit was taken out of him that would shake that. Do you know what I mean? He didn't do it all in a way that then she would come up with an idea.
Tony took advantage because Lex had the resources to make everything.
Yeah. So, but Lex, as we said, bought up all the land very cheap because of the fires. But he basically tells her, you're going to take the blame. She's sort of saying, well, what if I just tell them it was you? Oh, no, you're a smart woman. My power extends far beyond and even in prison I can get to you and this and that. You go, you do your prison time, and maybe when you come back, I might let you back in the club. That's kind of...
And she didn't argue.
She didn't argue with it.
What can she do, though?
So then we see some very bad CGI and special effects with Superman saving the day and blowing away the fire and sucking up all the smoke. But again, it does... like, I don't feel like that's fair to date the show, because obviously today somebody at home on their computer can kind of do better stuff just because it's so much easier.
Yeah.
So I would give that a pass and say we can't judge this too harshly on special effects that they had.
There's not a lot
at that
here
time.
though of
well, you start to realise how much they don't use Superman. They're very clever, because it's difficult to, surely it's always going to be the Superman elements that are difficult for them to pull off.
Yeah.
And this
here they
whole
use
episode,
a lot of Clark. Yeah.
you got a lot of Lois and Clark.
Yes, yeah, which is the story. Isn't it?
And not as much Superman. Basically, then Clark goes and saves Tony.
Yeah.
Reveals who he was, that he was behind it all.
Yeah.
And next thing, we're back at the planet, and there's another little scene between Lois and Clark, and he's sort of like, "Oh, weren't you jealous? You must have been." No way, never.
I wouldn't go and storm into my house and put my brown robe and sit in a town ice cream. She was so jealous.
She was so jealous.
Yeah, I think it's nice, this episode, because it really shows Clark, like his personality. I mean, he likes Lois, but he's not like, oh, Lois, like overly sweet or something like that. But he's really also fighting her and challenging her and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we usually try to focus sort of on one character, and I suppose this episode was very, I mean, they all are quite Lois heavy, but I feel like in the pilot,
Lois and Clark heavy.
Yeah, but I feel like in the pilot we liked Lois.
Yes.
And then kind of episodes 2 to 5, we started to go a little bit cold on her.
Yeah.
Or a little bit like, I'm not sure I like Lois. But I feel like this is the episode where she starts to really redeem herself.
Yeah.
And is
that because
funny.
She can sing?
No, it's more like because there was some funny banter between her and Clark. She was pursuing the story, but she wasn't too crazy.
Yeah.
She wasn't so like...
She wasn't saved by Superman this time.
Yeah,
so
and there wasn't that kind of like puppy love sort of, Superman that we've seen in some of the other.
Yeah.
She was much more independent without being kind of...
Yeah, she wasn't...
forced, but I think this was where she really hit a nice balance between using her feminine wiles to get what she needs in the club, because it was that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
But then when she's at the planet, she takes on another persona. When she's with Lex, she's slightly different. When she's with Clark, we saw a greater scope of her, and I suppose of Terry Hatcher's acting ability in this episode. So I thought that was good for her. Did you like the episode?
Yes, I did.
You did like the episode?
Yes.
Did you like it because it's a more journalisty kind of investigative episode?
I suppose so, because there's a lot of investigation going on and trying to, undercover and trying to be a different person.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the, I would say love triangle, but it's more like kind of a pentagon? Sort of. There's Lois, there's Clark,
there's Tony,
but then I suppose we've also got Charlie King.
Oh yeah,
Lex Luthor. Yeah. We've got whatever Lois's name was, Lola Dane.
Yeah.
So
I suppose,
a lot of people involved. Yeah. So we like to rank the episodes.
Oh, we didn't talk about what dates the show.
Well, you tell me what dates the show then.
I don't know.
Apart from ice cubes that you mentioned.
Yeah, ice cubes.
The kettle in which
the kettle.
But you see that some people still choose to use a kind of a kettle that they drop on the hob as opposed to
it takes forever
an electric kettle.
That.
Wow. But yeah.
Really. I had another question. Why does everyone, when they want to be incognito, they always wear a trench coat?
Trench coat, yeah. They were...
Like, let me see. I have to hide, and
it's so we, the audience, know that they're being incognito. They're in disguise. That's
because in reality, it wouldn't be like that, would it?
No.
It would just be like a simple person walking around.
Yeah, but then I suppose one of the things you always have to remember is, like, in shows like this, or in TV in general, everything's lit. Because we, the audience at home, need to be able to see the person. But if you were actually out on a dark street,
you
wouldn't see the person as clearly. Because it would be dark.
Yeah.
But because we're at
I
home
suppose because
and
a
it's on
trench
the
coat
surface,
would hide the person's, body composition. So
yeah, it hides the shape, so you don't
Yeah.
know, is it a tall person, a short
Yeah.
person, a
Was it a
fat
man,
person,
a
a thin
woman?
person? You can't really tell. Although it was clearly Lois. I was trying to think if there was anything else that really dates it. Just the fact, again.
How about the costume of the toasters? You had a comment on that.
Oh yeah, that was ridiculous. They were like, it was.
They
almost,
look like the Tin Man. You know,
No.
in the centers of town when there's like a Tin Man.
oh, like a human statue kind
Yes,
of thing.
yeah.
No, it was very much firefighter jacket and trousers,
Just
and it sort of had, and then somebody with a can of cheap spray
yes,
paint and just
exactly.
sprayed it silver.
spray paint. Yeah.
The weapons themselves, the flamethrowers that they were
Tubes.
using, just did look like some PVC pipes that were kind of
Well, come
stuck on a thing, and there wasn't any sort of
Yeah.
fuel tank or anything like that. So that,
Well, it was advanced technology, so.
and again we see the thing that's going to date any show is no mobile phone.
Oh yes.
So she has to go
no
to
mobile
Clark's
phone, Yeah.
to phone
Yeah.
the police, and then just probably the fact that now,
Surely there's like payphone on the road before she got into Clark's
yeah,
house.
probably, but also now it's because you said Clark Kent, Lois Lane, famous reporters for
Oh yes, yeah.
for the Daily Planet, but only their names because it just appears at the bottom of a story, their name.
So no one could really see their
It's
face.
not like, well, let me just check their Wikipedia page, or oh look, there's a YouTube video of that. So that sort of dates the show in a sense, in that
Yeah.
the meat. But again,
They can always
that's
go
always going to be the
undercover
case.
and then,
Yeah, but I mean, we can't.
surely someone would recognize their
That's
face.
not so much dating it as sort of a piece of technology that they're using that you'll go like a beeper or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she should have just beeped him and then it would work. So, looking at the ranking,
Uh-huh.
at the moment it stands at episode 1, the pilot is top, and then episode 5, episode 4, episode 3, episode 2. Where would you like to put this episode?
I thought I would put it in the first.
You're putting it above the pilot?
Yes. Because we saw, Clark's personality and his talent, and Lois as well, and Lois being very jealous about Clark's and Tony's interaction. So yeah, it was a fun episode. And also there's a lot of action and investigation and singing and dancing.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more Superman in the episode.
Okay, yeah.
But I
think it was good.
But I agree
You see a
that
lot of Clark.
you see a lot of Clark. You see a lot of Lois.
Yeah.
No Cat, which obviously
Cat,
for me
yeah.
that always is going to weaken the episode. But I am going to allow you to put it top
Yes.
of the list. I'm not going to fight you on this. It's not worth it. So
It's late.
as it stands, episode 6 has now taken the top spot.
Yeah.
Will it stay there? Well,
we don't
we'll
know.
have to see on the next episode, won't we? But overall, it was a good, enjoyable episode.
yeah.
I liked the dynamic between Lois and Clark. I liked
Yes.
the element of them as reporters. It's an episode that definitely is befitting the title of the series.
Yes,
That is
yes.
Lois and Clark,
Yes,
and is
yeah.
not simply the Man of Steel, Superman, the Man of Tomorrow kind of thing.
You
So
can see their skills as reporters.
yeah, it's very justifiable. Well, I think that's everything we've got to say about this episode. So it just leaves us to wrap up this episode. And of course, at the end, we'd just like to remind everyone that if they want to contact the show in any way, they can go to the website of our other podcast. It is aconversationwithpod.com. They can email us at aconversationwithpod@gmail.com. Twitter and Instagram is at acwpod. We're now also on Spotify. So,
Whoa.
yeah, both A Conversation With and The Old New Adventures of Superman are both on Spotify now as well. So, if anybody's using that, or if you've got friends that are using that, share it around. That would be great. We're also on iTunes, so feel free to leave us a 5-star review if you like. And if you've got some friends that would like to listen because they like Superman, or they like Dean Cain, or they're just bored and they need something to listen to, share it around. And I think that's everything.
That's it for tonight.
So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next episode.
Bye.